Hey, hello, hello. So just make sure everything's good on volume stuff. Looks like it's good. All right, in that case, we'll get started. So, hey guys, how's it going? My name is Justin.
Mark.
Watching or listening to episode 372 of DangIT Prodcast. Mark, how are you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing all right. Had a little late start for the podcast, but all's good. I slept like a baby. That's my excuse.
You slept too well.
And then I had a couple of other situations I can kind of elaborate on, but the thing that kind of bothered me about today was the fact that like I started getting like a weird irritation and it turned out to be like a bug bite. And as you know, with bug bites, they start to spread to different parts of the body, and you're like, oh no.
Where are all these bites coming from?
Where are these bites coming from? So a shower was much needed for that. And it's I knew I was gonna have like the podcast today, right? So I was thinking about like just having some like that honey lemon water. I've been off that for a little bit because I've been doing relatively okay without it, but figured that I should just go ahead and try to take it today. But found that the lemon we were using went bad. So here I was with like a nice like heated cup of water ready for that, but with no like lemon to use. So I was like, and right next to it is like already a made cup of coffee. So I was like, do we have any of those coffee packs? So I have 2 cups of coffee for today.
Soothing.
Yeah. Although I guess I don't know, I guess it depends on like the serving size, because I don't think that just standard coffee is still as strong as like espresso, even with the quantity that I had. So, and I only say that because this past week we had like Starbucks, and my mom was talking about like this particular combination that kind of like imitates like Vietnamese coffee, which is sweet but has like a very strong like amount of like caffeine into it. So it's been a like hot minute since we had Starbucks or any type of espresso like shot, but I had that, and on that day at work I was like it was pretty potent. I wasn't like hand shaking, palm sweaty, mom spaghetti type of like woken up, but I was like wide awake. But yeah, so this past week has been a pretty eventful one, and I'm actually kind of happy about that. As far as like, and I mean I talked about this like on stream on like, well, yesterday about what was it, Metroid's 35th anniversary, and also the Avatar's little role-playing tabletop game. Avatar Legends is what it was called.
I think we're at 300. I think we're at 3,500,000 now. By the way.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Avatar Legends is actually tabletop, kind of like a D&D game, pretty much a D&D game. That's that's been set up for a Kickstarter like through like Magpie Games, and they had a goal of like just 5,000 or something like that, but it's way surpassed that.
Oh, big time! Like it doesn't even compare.
Yeah. Do you know if they added any additional like tiers? Or not tiers, but like just new additions?
Rewards?
Yeah.
Let me check.
Because last time they were adding legends, and legends are specific like role model like characters that you'll get to interact with and possibly like fight against like later on. But for the most part, they kind of are seen as mentors for your own custom hero. So
yeah, we got new ones. We got new ones.
Okay, so just to recap, the most recent ones that were added were like Ty Lee and General Cuviera, or Cuviera, excuse me. Who was the next one?
Look at it.
Okay, I'll take a look. Huh. Okay, let's do it.
It's not moving, but it's still a good one.
Yeah, just give me a second because I just have to get past the James Cameron Avatar board game for a second.
Honestly, that world has a lot of potential for a good RPG.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they've done so much as far as like set the groundwork through like the TV show and also the other works through comics and whatnot. Oh, where is it? Here it is. Clicking on that, and do Control End for the bottom page. Past the team stuff. Oh shit! It's Prince Zuko.
Izuku.
I'm surprised that they haven't like already done that, but yeah, that's good. They already got
One of the
Ty Lee into it, so
Yep, and they've also been adding the new archetypes, like the roles that you would play, or the archetypes for your character that determines expands the characters. Like, it says it expands the characters players can create in the game,
okay.
and they have let's see, because the pillar is already there. That's the one where they have new ones. Like there's the elder, and then there's let's see, there's the elder, there's the razor, there's the destined, there's the foundling.
Oh, just also to note that it was a 50,000 goal like initially,
2
not
days
5,000.
slated. 2 fucking days.
Oh, it just jumped a couple hundred. Oh,
Well, we're at $3,527,919.
yeah, that's what I'm seeing too. That's a lot.
I told my friends who I play D&D with, I said, like my other friends that I play it with, I told them about they raised 3 million in 2 days. They were like, "Holy fuck."
It's crazy. Like, exactly when did this start?
It's been like 2 or 3 days.
Jesus, dude. I mean, no, yeah, no, Jesus. It's so
And
crazy.
the fact that it's already they've already had to expand their goals several times now to accommodate $4 million.
I mean, it's well deserved because like just from the ground up, just the TV show, just the development, the level of just detail that they made for like the world of Avatar is monumental. Even like
Oh, yeah. A whole
to
lot of love
today's
in it.
standard.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of love in it,
Hmm. I
which is
will
something I can
say,
respect that they're
I
staying true.
yeah, I was gonna say like I still kind of stand by what I was saying like back when, and this is just like a little nitpicky thing, but they put so much detail in like the dynamics of like bending as far as like the martial arts were like related to each type of bend for the elements, but like when you kind of skip over to Legend of Korra, it seems like they kind of like did a little bit of shortcutting here, whereas like everything that like Korra does is like hypo like offensive and doesn't necessarily like adhere to like the traditional like sense of bending, and maybe it isn't like as strict as you have to do these movements in order to make it work. It's like, no, as long as you have the element, you can actually kind of like exert like whatever it is.
Oh yeah, like I totally agree in that regard that it's essentially what it
Mm.
is like in because here's the thing, people asked, like me and my girlfriend even talked about it, like people asked what went wrong with Korra. Now, in my personal opinion, I enjoyed the first season of Korra. I thought
Yeah, me
Korra
too.
had a really good first season, but I still felt even in the good first season that it had, it was still lacking in the department of trying to live up to what it had before its legacy, which
Yeah,
was Aang.
this is true.
And of,
Yeah.
and of course, they're going to be different characters. That's fair. However, you got to remember that there's a whole lot that goes into it. Korra, I don't know. Like, would you say it's just having to compare her to Aang that's the hard part, or would you say it could be the time, like this, the era that they're in, the specializing in certain things? Like, there's a lot of different things that are different about each world, which makes it
Yeah.
hard to compare them.
I think you're right on that. I think that, from like an audience's like engagement like perspective, like it doesn't like carry the same like level of theming and just feel good, like not just feel good, but just like general like I guess I don't really have the word for that, but it just feels different because
It
like
hit different.
it's a different time, like the different setting, like has a small but very noticeable like impact on like how your characters interact.
Time has
Um,
changed.
things have changed. Like I think the best way to like look at it is that like the very first Avatar, Last Airbender, is pretty much just like an adventure. It's like literally like initially three kids just like traveling the world on a flying bison, and sometimes not, just going from places to places and just seeing the world for themselves. Whereas Korra, like like viewers already know this world, and it's no longer an adventure. It's kind of like set in one specific area for the most part in like season 1 and even season 2.
Yeah,
Um,
we saw how the world was saved. Now we're seeing what's happened to the saved world.
yeah, and this is kind of like a little like tiny thing that like I've always kept in mind of was the fact that like when a show goes on long enough where it gets into politics, then it starts to kind of lose a little bit of that like level of freedom and becomes a lot more grounded and a lot more well, I guess yeah, it loses that freedom. It becomes much more
Yes,
grounded.
but Avatar has always kind of had politics in it.
It always had, yeah, right, because but I feel like some things, especially later on in the seasons with Korra, is that like it becomes like much more of like the cause of like why our characters are doing this and that. But you know, with like Aang and his group, they would go into different places that had different types of politics involved. You would see inside the window of like how the Fire Nation kind of works out things like as a result of things that Aang does. But it's now like when you swap it over to Korra, it's just like this is the politics here and there, and especially in the bossing saying bit, like with Korra, and you just have to see like how the characters have to deal with that instead of just kind of having like the freedom to just kind of make the change, you know? Because Aang was
Mm.
kind of like about that too.
Oh yeah.
Because I guess like one thing you could look at, it's like how Aang and the crew like went to Ba Sing Se and they literally followed everything to a T until they weren't granted the right to see the king, and even when they saw the king, it was just like, is that it? Like, and so like later, fast forward, they do a siege on Ba Sing Se because it's currently being like taken over by the Fire Nation, and then when you go into Korra's bit, it's already like ruled by like not the greatest like king, or in this case the queen, and like Core pretty much follows that to a T. But then it was that one dude whose name I totally forget, who literally like assassinates her, and then that's like the issue. But it hits different. They actually, now I think about it, they do kind of follow the same thing, where it's like there's usually like some kind of like battle that happens in Bossing Say. But I don't know, I definitely did like a little bit more of like Aang's path of that more, because like there's definitely like an exterior to it, but then when you look further in, there's like some dark stuff happening where it is like I think the viewers just already know that kind of history going into it, and I also think that like it isn't as like black and white as you see it in like Aang's era versus Korra's era, which is kind of like a little bit more mixed and just everything's kind of surface there. But that's a little bit more nitpicky about like the difference between like the two in that regard. But going back to it, I think politics just has like a much more like impactful thing in Korra's world, because it's everything's been like strongly established as a unified like thing, especially with Republic City being the epicenter of everything, and also just kind of like a central part of Korra's world. Whereas Aang is just like there's specifically 4 nations. That's it. You have to go to each one of them to see what's going on.
Correct.
But I would say like I still like really like Korra, especially like the first season, because it really was like obviously it's the hype from like everything that we knew from the previous like world of Avatar, but now it's been skipped over like 60 plus years, and whatchamacalls it, the first season, obviously it's one of those things where like it was supposed to be just like 2 books, and then they got renewed for like 2 other books. So I think that might have something to do with just like how weird it kind of was to like develop like the stories there too. But I would say that season 1 was definitely like very strong. Season 2 was, I would say, pretty dynamic, because whatchamacalls it was dealing with, the spoiler alert, the whole fact that like Korra not only is like the new Avatar, but like through the situations that she kind of finds herself in, is now kind of renewing the cycle of Avatar, and no longer has that like attachment to everyone after the fact. So, or I don't know if that was the case then, or was it like the case in the end of book 3? Because book 3 was the whole like what was it, Black Lotus situation. I know that they were picking at like, I guess they were kind of like digging into like some old lore and then just kind of renewing it with new things. Where there was like two particular dividing factions within the Lotus.
Correct.
One that like supports the Avatar, and the other ones were like, we rely too much on the Avatar. We gotta make the change. So let's kill the Avatar. Wait. It's like wait. wait.
Oh, no.
That was crazy. I do kind of like season 3 though for Korra because it was like these very dangerous benders, and it kind of just reminds me of the Akatsuki a lot, where when in Naruto,
The Red Lotus.
yeah, was it Red Lotus or was it Black Lotus? I mean, it could be either or.
Red Lotus.
Okay, my bad. I thought it really was just like exactly like opposite ends of the spectrum
Complete
here.
polar opposite.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it kind of just stuck more to like kind of like similar to, oh, I don't want to really bring in the spoilers of My Hero at this point, but pretty much just like strong like individuals like going after like the main protagonists in this case. So with Korra, it really was like 4 individuals who were hell bent on like hunting down Aang at the time, but will really just go after any Avatar at this point. And it's supposed to be like, well, I don't think it's supposed to be. It's just like I get that feeling from it, like where like in Naruto Shippuden specifically, when you go against the Akatsuki, it's supposed to be like very high stakes. Like these are excessively probably one of the strongest ninjas aside from like the different like Kages, that like it really is either one of you dies.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but like with Korra, it didn't really have that per se because I think it wasn't like a one-on-one dynamic. It was definitely a group dynamic. And I think they did pretty well with, especially when like Mako and like Bolin are involved because of just their brotherly dynamic since them working together. But it was like less impactful like as far as like when I look at it between that and the Akatsuki, but they should be just treated separately. But that's just kind of like my perspective. And then the fourth one was kind of, I guess the fourth one technically is kind of like the weakest link of like all 4 like books for Korra. It's, and I think it's mainly because like I don't remember too much about it except for the fact that it was like partially Korra's recovery arc and her to return to fight Kuvira, who I'm not gonna lie, like she was actually kind of a cool villain just for being kind of the extremist, but like for kind of a good motive. To a point where like I think that even Avatar State wasn't like quite enough. So they've already set that up. So it's like, oh shit, like Kuvira is actually like really bad.
Big stakes, huge stakes.
Huge stakes. But then we got like a little bit more top into that one. And then does the you give metal benders a bad name. Cue the music. Shaka!
Shut your out and you're to blame, darling.
You give metal benders a bad name.
I love me some Bon Jovi, man. Don't teach me the good time.
Gotcha. But I don't know. I think also like the thing is that like Korra, like, and this is kind of like a situation with every single like spiritual sequel, is that it'll always be compared to the original works, and for the most part, it won't really be like as good. But it's kind of circumstantial depending on like how much it relies on it. Mainly in this case, it's all story based. And the beats for it being so dynamic.
Also, harmonic convergence. Boom! Airbender population problem is taken care of.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird thing. But you know what? The spirit world is kind of just strange by itself.
Essentially, considering the lion turtles, what they used to do, and they're coming to the spirit world they are, I mean, I could see it. If you're a non-bender, there's no reason they can't bestow bending to you.
This is true.
There's literally nothing saying they can't.
That's true. Especially when they taught like Aang just to simply take it away.
But it's like pretty much if the spirits say it, it can happen.
Yeah. I think that was like that was like a really like high stakes factor in like Chorus like book one was simply the idea that like certain bits of like water bending can like take like away your bending, or at least no, it's kind of like more of like the blood bending aspect of it, being able to like seal up like those bits that would prevent you from bending ever again. But then like if you have like that spirit bending in you, you can like reroute that again, which is kind of weird. Do you think that like Amon as easily as he can take bending away could like just bring it back?
Yeah, technically you could bring. I assume if you take it away, you can give it as well.
Yeah. That was kind of a weird bit. Like they definitely like just kind of like delve into some like lore of Avatar and just try to tweak it up a little bit just so there's a little bit
And then
more
and then
things about it.
completely sever and erase all of it, and then to give it to Korra to start over again.
Yeah. That's what I was saying about like the situation with like the end of like book 2 was the fact that like it wasn't just like a episodic like, oh, oops, like we messed things up, but we fixed it all again. Now start new. It's like things have now just changed like permanently. And I think the way that they presented that was really good in the sense that like Korra now like has like brought like big change, not just to
To
like the world, but
enormous change.
not just on the spiritual side, but also just like her and the whole Avatar cycle has been like rerouted again. So,
Basically, just big old restart.
which kind of sucks. But I'm so glad that they
That
have like,
10,000 years just down the
yeah.
drain.
But I do say that they do have like very strong characters, not just simply by like sheer will, but also just like resolve and everything. Like Tenzin. Tenzin already has like problems. Just the fact that he can't really live up to like his dad, but
Who
he's
was his
also like,
avatar?
but he's like literally the best mentor to help Korra through like these circumstances where she just tapped into spirit world like perception and now feels like she feels responsible for all that, but tends to just kind of
Yeah.
like is like a
It was
really
easier
good
for Aang
teacher.
because Aang was spiritual. Korra, not so much.
This is true.
The
But
the nomads taught him meditation and all that because that's what they were about. Whereas in the Water Tribe, not so much.
well, yeah, you're right about that. I think any single faction can have like a spiritual side to them, but definitely just the fact that how Korra was just doesn't like meld well with the aspect of tapping into the spirit world. And we've been talking about a bit of like spiritual stuff like for the world of Avatar, but to the topic at hand, Avatar Legends, I'm not sure if that does that actually play like any type of part into like the build of your character, just simply that aspect of just spirituality.
I would imagine. At least if they are going to include the spirit world, I imagine it would have to be in some way, shape, or form.
Because for the game they talk about like the four stats, which kind of like replaces like D&D's what was it, dexterity, like wisdom and all that stuff, and just kind of keeps it down to four. They might add more later on, but like things like creativity, focus, harmony, passion. I'm looking at them and I don't really see like one that talks specifically about like you being able to tap into something like that, because that's a little bit more abstract, where this is something that specifically influences like your next action. It's going to be really interesting because they haven't talked about, and I should probably check my email like as far as like them giving you like a first like take on it, but I don't think they really talked about like anything on hit points or anything like that, but it's just like you're losing like bits of this and bit of that. You don't really die, you retire from the game.
you, I mean, sure.
I mean, yeah, it's weird because it's like if you lose too many times, you might just like retire because you don't feel like worthy of that, and that's because you've been like negatively influenced on. It was maybe not the stats, but I know that there's like a balance thing too, which is also very interesting. In fact, I think it's like one of the most interesting things about this being almost an extreme homebrew
Pretty
where
much.
like they talked about like how obviously battles kind of become like a thing, but it's usually battles are like a last resort. The main thing as like the heroes is to seek a balance, which for the most part doesn't like involve like any type of combat per se, but more times than not it will have to end up like that. But I don't know. It's just like it's super interesting, but this is like the take from someone who's like relatively new to D&D, so I don't even know like how detailed even D&D gets as far as just like I guess progression on each individual campaign for it. But that's just my take on it. There's a lot to like really
It's a
talk
whole lot
about.
to unpack right there.
Yeah, there's just a lot to unpack. But it's crazy how Magpie Games has like had this like started up and the rewards and all the things that are being added into it. It's a pretty big project. The fact is that they were going to have it as just like 50,000. I mean, that could have just been like a token thing, but like they've been getting so much support for it, and for good reason.
Oh.
So much, and they're gonna give all that money to me. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? You wake up one day like, hey Mark, you know that Kickstarter we had? Well, we're sending it all over to you. Like, oh.
I gotta grab my laundry. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and jump into the little next topic, which is Metroid's 35th anniversary. So that was yesterday, actually, and I'm super happy that it's been given a lot of awareness, not just on Nintendo side, but also just like in the communities aspect of it. I'm seeing a lot of like artwork on Twitter, people posting about like the Metroid's 35th. Um, but unfortunately, like shortly after that, a lot of like the thing or conversation that kind of was brought about it being the 35th anniversary was the fact that Nintendo themselves posted a report that's been like released like somewhat regularly for Metroid Dread, and it's called Report 4. And it's kind of just a look back on like the four like games prior to Metroid Dread being Metroid 5. These games were like just Metroid 2, Return of Samus for the Game Boy, Super Metroid for SNES, which is Metroid 3, and then Metroid Fusion, which is Metroid 4. And they just did like a really good like highlight of how like these stories kind of like branched together. And a lot of people online, I don't know if it was a lot of people, but I just heard like a strong opinion of one where it was a talk about like, well, how will people be able to access like at least these other two games, Metroid 2 and Fusion, because those are Game Boy games, which you can't really get easily because it costs a lot of money, or you have to emulate it, which for Nintendo is a big no-no in general. So is there a way to legally get these without having to spend extra money? The short answer is kind of no, unless you already have like a Wii U, which a lot of people kind of don't, myself included. So it's kind of like a rough time, and I think that what this person was saying was that, you know, Nintendo should really just like push to put like Game Boy as part of like the additional like game library of things that you can get when you're like a Switch like member.
Too
Uh,
simple.
you think it's too simple?
That's too simple.
I mean,
It makes way too much sense. It would be far too easy.
oh yeah, you think that Nintendo's like, nah, we gotta make it like the voice chat. We gotta make it so that like you have to adhere to all other like properties that we got.
Exactly.
Damn, dude.
They can see we could make your life super simple. We could do it like that. But it wouldn't be Nintendo if we did that.
It wouldn't be on brand, not so cash money of us.
That wouldn't be very Nintendo.
Yeah, no, I'm still kind of like bummed out about like how they approach just like online communication. I mean, I get it, but there's so much.
It's the one thing the Switch was missing was a decent online communication type of thing.
Yeah. I'd also say that like they also kind of missed out, and you know I get it as well here, but the fact is that like something like the Pro Controller doesn't have like a headphone jack to it.
It feels like it could easily have a headphone jack.
I mean, that third party I had like an audio jack to it. It wasn't great, but like at least it's there if you wanted it.
It works.
It works, but otherwise, like the best thing you can do is just like have it like handheld, and just do it like that. But yeah, it's just it it seems way too easy, especially for Game Boy games. But like, I don't know. I mean, Nintendo obviously did emulation like with the Mario 35th anniversary 3D like All Stars, so it's like it's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. And you know, we've seen like emulation for Game Boy games like throughout, and it works perfectly fine.
Oh, it works all right. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, it works. Do just trust me policy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, just trust the policy. Trust me. I learned how to do a lot with a laptop. I mean a 3DS.
Mm-hmm. Well, 3DS. And you know what? Yeah, that's actually a thing to mention because the 3DS for its like first like year or two had like this type of offer, which is like pretty much the so like a 3DS like certificate, pretty much showing that you were one of the first few people to buy like a 3DS at the time, which the rewards had like SNES and like not DS, Game Boy Advance titles included into it. So it's like that's kind of just emulating the game through that too. So it's like
it's pretty cash.
It's like, oh no, like they can easily do it, and it'd be great if they just gave us the nod.
The simple answer is, can they do it? Absolutely. Would it be easy? Absolutely. Would they make a bunch of money? Absolutely. But will they do it? No.
Would they do it? Nah. I don't know. Like, and when I think about that, I immediately think of like Sony's a little bit, where they were going to shut down like the stores for PlayStation 3 and PSP, but people were like, nah, and then Sony backed out and they were like, my fault.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, the Vita is still fairly popular in Japan, so I don't see any reason to close the Vita store.
Right. I think it's important to hear the fans like on that end, but I also think that Nintendo needs to like proactively seek out like people's opinions about like
Xbox sets the example for backwards compatibility.
Mm-hmm. And they don't say anything else about it. They're just like, obviously, they do it so obviously, like just like it's backwards compatible. Like, oh, your old games work, and that's it. And everyone just appreciates it, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation, and it just works. But
I'm just saying, if someone can work a Game Boy game on a laptop from 2001, you can easily run it on a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. So it's definitely not an issue of like, oh, it's impossible because of technical issues. It's just they have to follow through because, and this is also because of the fact that they have to go through like many different teams at this point. It's like, can we push this forward? And chances are they may not because of just some disagreement about like what they think might be like impactful, like as far as like money stuff. That's what I think. So I don't know.
Nintendo
Ninjas. Not just that. It's just like it might be like because that was the idea of like what Sony was being like, or these people like thought that Sony was just taking down these stores because people aren't gonna like play old games. Of course not. So let's just shut down the just shut down the stores.
Oh, people like to play these old games.
And so the people rejoiced. The people, well, not the rejoice, but people like rebounded and they retaliated and just said like, don't do it. Swear to God, don't do it.
Microsoft.
I just hope that
I always think of the console wars. Microsoft.
Sonic. Sonic.
Oni.
And then, oh my God. But yeah, so TLDR, like I just want like Nintendo to do like a smart thing, which is to just allow previous generations of games to be played on the Switch, because that would just be great. That's what the Virtual Console was all about. And then they just stopped working with Virtual Console, and it was just like a complete bummer, because I realized like recently that like it has a lot of games added to the Virtual Console. So many games, but for them to just simply discontinue like those efforts is just, it's such a waste. You could easily do it. Well,
From what I've heard, like from what I've heard a little bit about Japanese culture, like imagine this.
Hmm.
Like, and of course, it's just what I've heard. I don't know if this is fact or not, so no one quote me.
Okay.
But I've heard that for some reason, like say like in the West, our culture is if you make more money than you should have, you're like sick.
Sick.
In Japan, it's like, oh, I've already made all the money that I want. I don't want any more.
Wait, what was that?
It's like, but in Japan, I've heard that there's a thing of like, well, I've already made all the money that I wanted. I don't need any more, but I want more. Which sounds humble, but it also sounds like as a business, it's like, well, you're doing the opposite of what you should do as a business.
I've always like viewed it as like I mean, granted, this is just simply my perspective, just like how a company would like to like perceive like how much money they get, but I always felt like maybe they would want to make the right approach that would give them like the most money, and like and not have to whatchamacalls it, put so much like into it, so much funding into it. So like I think like for example, like I was watching like a stream from Maximilian dude where he was talking about like how Capcom like wanted to put like fighting games onto the Switch, but they wanted just to do something like very simple. So they just did like Ultra Street Fighter 2 something, and the amount of effort that they put into that was just like very like not much, because they already had like the resources, they already had the models, a lot of animation has already been like put into it, and so
Not
as far
hard to port whatsoever.
yeah, but then it sold so much for them. So it was extremely successful despite that. So it's like, oh, okay. So I always wonder, like, maybe that's just like what Nintendo might be trying to do. Is just like they want to find like ways where, like, if they want to do something like this, then they'll use these little resources, but get a lot out of it. And I'm not sure if like adding it to a subscription is like something they would have in mind. It would feel like maybe they would try to sell something different just so like they get the money for it. But that's just like my perspective on it.
Oh, you mean like doing it the Game Pass way?
Yeah, because I mean, Game Pass just is like an extremely good deal, and that's kind of
Best
what
deal in
like.
gaming, bro.
And if the Switch really like, well, like when you like sign up for like Switch Online, like if they did that, that'd be like a really good deal too. When they opened up the library to like Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Nintendo 64, that's the dream, right? Like if they were to do that, but for some reason they haven't really acted on that, and I wonder if that's because they want to try to like sell something else to make that work.
Makes too much sense.
It makes too much sense. We gotta like get more money. My perspective, though.
It's like it's a meme, yes, but at the same time, it really comes off that way as nah. That makes too much sense.
Nah, dude, we gotta complicate it. We gotta put the adapter here and put an adapter over here. We can't just make one line and it has to be like different adapters. Use the smartphone.
You mean just keep it in there? Are you kidding me?
I don't know, like they got some weird stuff. Weird stuff. I just don't even. Oh God! The more I think about it, just like it's so confusing. Because like the thing is that like, I mean, you could be like Phil, and you can also be like me, where it's like you have other like options to like access some of these games. But I totally get the idea of like I don't really want to dig up my old console to make this work. Like I'd rather just be able to play it like with the main like new hardware and just make it as convenient as that. Like I think the next convenient thing would have been like when the Wii U was a thing, like, oh, I want to play some old Game Boy Advance game, but it's like, nah, we got some Game Boy Advances that you could play like on the Virtual Console. They're like, oh, sick. Okay, let's just do that. And
Nah, too easy.
not too easy. Nah,
No shot.
not putting like a Game Boy Advance game here when you have like a equally like similar like dynamic of like handheld games or console. No, that's too easy.
No shot.
No dice.
No dice. Nah.
Nah. What do you mean? I just want to put it out there. Like Metroid Fusion is like the coolest shit. Metroid Fusion is the coolest shit. Zero Mission is also the coolest shit too, but I specifically like Fusion more. But it's like I want people to have that experience of playing those two games because they're just so good in representing like what Metroid's all about, and just they don't get that option. New players looking into the hype of Metroid won't get that opportunity. They can play Metroid 1 and Super Metroid, that's actually really good, but you won't get the full experience. I'm sad for those people. Unless you want to put extra money on something. There's that, but not putting a part of the subscription you're already subscribed to. It's too easy.
Nah, too easy.
Too easy. But that's my 2 cents on that now. Anyway, happy birthday, Metroid.
Happy birthday.
My God. So that's one franchise that's getting a lot of spotlight. We can only hope for F-Zero. And a little bit.
This month is August.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. 3 months. Halo is going to be 20.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did want to talk about Halo for a bit because I started like looking into like more like footage on like the
I'm mad I didn't sign up for the flights, bro. I'm mad.
I bet because like it's one of those things where obviously there's people who are just simply playing because they were having fun. Like I've been watching some like archive like streams from Zane's stuff because he's been playing the game. And I was like,
yeah, I'm banned his chat, so I was just watching.
So I mean, and not just like his like stuff, but like I was watching like a YouTube channel that actually is comparing performance stuff with like the PC like versions, or like just different PC builds to play Halo Infinite, just to see how the performance is on that side. Apparently, I mean,
it's really Halo back to form. It really is.
Yeah, yeah. To avoid myself from like avoiding that like bit of talk, but yeah, like Halo is pretty much the same as it always has been. What was I gonna say about the performance? Apparently, I mean, granted, this is just like a pre-build like of what Halo multiplayer is gonna be, but apparently some even more like stronger builds aren't able to hold it too well as far as like the 4K aspect of it. But
Slipstream engine.
I was gonna say, I would say that if you play like 1080p, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. But anything higher than that seems to like be a little bit too demanding at this time, or like just like not well optimized. So we'll see more development on that end closer to launch. But it's been interesting to see like one, just how Halo looks and plays, but also just how people are feeling about it. Like they were saying that like despite the performance issues, like going to higher like quality stuff, you start to just kind of like forget about that and you just play it more.
You just have fun.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to jumping back into that.
Oh yeah.
But
like I was sad. I was like, why? I was like, remind me, why didn't I sign up for the flights? Why the fuck did I not?
I mean, were you busy at that time?
I think it was during all the bullshit.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know me, I'm an absolute huge fucking Halo fan. So just the fact that I didn't sign up, I'm like, why didn't I sign up?
I don't know why I thought about it, but like when you were just talking about being a huge Halo fan, I obviously like synonymously thought about you being like a huge Dragon Ball fan, and then immediately cut to like Master Chief like lifting up the helmet, and you just see like Goku's like hair just like fit back into back to form.
Oh!
Hi, Goku here.
Bro, I don't even know what I would say to that. I would just be in shock and awe. Oh.
We need you, John. Chief like turns around, lifts up the helmet. You see like hairs, like the hair of Goku, like sprout back into form. Like,
All right.
huh? No, I'm Goku. Just turn Super Saiyan.
Unexpected.
I think that. Oh my god! I wish I was like a really good artist because I would love to try to make an illustration of like Super Saiyan Goku in a Spartan armor.
Bruh.
You need magnums? Nah.
Key blast.
Nah, Key Blast. And my fist.
And my fist.
Oh my god, dude. But wait, has there been any like new things added to Dragon Ball like Z Kakarot recently? Just one that
Not recently, because that was the last DLC they planned on doing.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was just someone
So-
uploading something new. But okay.
Yeah, so it's very much like up in the air right now. So I think that's we could see maybe we could see maybe something happen,
Mhm.
but I think it's really just up for interpretation.
Yeah.
It's like we may see something happen, we may not.
Oh, I think one last thing that I wanted to bring up was the fact that like I think there was like a new key art for like the new JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
Oh, Stone
series.
Ocean.
Yeah, Stone Ocean. And it's got me curious because I see what was it? I see Jotaro again, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? What
What are you doing here?
the fuck you doing here again with a new drip?
Jotaro Kujo.
And I'm not gonna lie, like one of the reasons I keep my interest like on like JoJo Bizarre Adventure is because of Jotaro just kind of being an asshole, but also just him reappearing in different like works and generations here.
Being the meme that is Jotaro Kujo.
Yeah, so damn it, I it's one of those like series that like I need to like start watching and maybe read, but for more so just like watch it. But it's like I don't know. The last thing I saw was this was it wasn't Diamonds Forever. It was the one that for Jotaro specifically. I forget what it's called. Star Crusaders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it because there was a bit where like he's talking about like Star Platinum, and like they're trying to like look into like the details of this photograph, and he grabbed the photo. He's like, "Why did you say something earlier?" He summons Star Platinum. Like Star Platinum actually has like this really good like memory. I'm gonna have him draw something. So he opens up the notepad. You have Star Platinum holding the photo with his arm wrapped around like Jojo. Has the pen. He's like, He draws a super detailed fly.
Super detailed fly.
And they're like, yeah, there was a fly there. I was like, what? I don't know, like,
was a fly there.
and then like following after that, I just followed like the YouTube like algorithm that way, and it shows them in Diamonds and Forever, and he's talking to I guess the grandson. What was it, Josuke? Or no, I think Josuke is the main character there. So he's just talking to him, just kind of in a weird like reunion of family matters. He talks a mess about his hair.
Not the hair.
And then what is it, Jojo is tired of this shit, and he just like right hooks him. And the girl's like, oh my god. And he's like, shut the hell up. And they all like, oh.
Yada,
But they start blushing. And they're like, oh my god, dude.
yada, yada does it.
Yeah, oh my god. So, needless to say,
I believe the reason I think I know the reason he's in Stone Ocean.
Oh, really? I mean, I don't really care
believe-
for the spoilers, but go ahead.
I do believe that's his daughter.
Oh, shit. I hope it's not like. I hope that's
Jolene is Jotaro's daughter.
okay. I mean, I'm totally okay with that. I just hope it isn't like some kind of like terrible situation that I guess like Josuke was involved with, where it's just like, oops, a son at 60. Oh, miss me with that. He like leaves.
Josuke he's a good guy, man.
I might be like misconstruing like names here, right? Because I mean, I have to like look at the family tree because I'm talking about like the old man.
Yeah, Joseph.
Joseph's a problem.
He's also the best JoJo.
That's the worst part. He's the best.
Joseph is without a doubt best Joestar in my opinion.
But he's also like JoJo like is like the asshole like in his like main series here. But Joseph is a problem.
You right?
How do you get? How you gonna have a kid at 60?
Hey man, it happened. It happened one time.
Like my god, dude.
And yes, Jotaro Kujo is her father.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, part 8's getting ready to end. I believe.
God, you know what?
Jojo Leon.
There's a lot of things I need like to watch / catch up with. There's the new Suicide Squad movie that's out now, so I'm like, oh, I gotta watch it, especially since we had a little bit of like notice about that on Discord. It's like, oh shit, that's right, I gotta watch this. It gives me the perfect excuse to put off Space Jam, sure, but now I want to like catch up on like.
From what I've heard, you can skip Space Jam.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough. Now, question: is it all on Verb? It is. Let's go. Oh shit! I get to like rewatch everything from Dio's side when he was still alive.
Jojo Leon will be ending August 19th.
Wait, what?
Basically, after being in serialization for 10 years, Part 8 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure will be ending on August 19th.
Oh, okay. And I'm just like, it's gonna be like a field trip of just jumping into all these different like series for JoJo, but I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it.
I mean, most people tell you they love Part 2, Part 3. The rare few that like Part 4, or I know there's a whole lot of Part 5 fans. Whereas, I mean, like, I've only seen Parts 1 and 2. I still need to watch the rest myself.
Right.
But at Parts 1 and 2, I mean, 1 definitely feels... It felt like it needed more, whereas 2 felt like it did everything right.
Yeah. Well, like, doesn't part 1 kind of starts slow, right? Because it's just simply establishing everything.
Yeah, like Jonathan.
Right, and you know, at the time, like, there's no stand. It's all like, what was it called, Hamon, right?
Honestly, Hamon. I liked Hamon. I like Hamon as a system.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my friends who's watched all of JoJo's anime, like, you know, he says that honestly he wishes they didn't get rid of Hamon because he actually liked it as a system as well.
Isn't it also like, I mean, I guess I should probably watch the series myself to get the confirmation, but I was curious if like, isn't it like stands kind of an extension, or is it just simply like, no, that never happened, never happened?
I'd have to look up. I'd have to look up where stands and Hamon, like if
like,
they are
divide.
linked or not.
Yeah. But it's like it sucks when like and this is like very specific, but like series like kind of like drop off like a certain mechanic that they do and they like reestablish it as something else. But I mean, it's on a case by case like basis, and for someone who hasn't watched JoJo, I should definitely just watch it to judge it. But yeah, I mean, I think it is important, like when you start off a series, like this also kind of goes back to Avatar. It's just simply establish like what's what and kind of keep it as steady as that. You're free to elaborate on it for sure, but yeah, like to completely like just like throw off like a certain mechanic just so you can like adopt something else is kind of risky. It depends like on how successful that could be. And also,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that also kind of translates into like games too, where it's like when like, and I guess maybe Mega Man might be an example of this, like where you decide to like jump off the genre to like like adapt into another one. It just depends.
Yeah, because I mean that's kind of what happened with Hamon and Stans. Because I guess Stans kind of gave Araki more of a creative liberty to be creative with the powers and everything, whereas Hamon
Yeah,
only gave you so much.
this is true. Yeah, fair enough. What I was gonna say, like I remember there was something about Hamon like that. It was a video that I saw.
Caesar.
It was something about climbing a tower using Hamon. Do you remember
Oh
that?
yeah, that was with Caesar and Joseph.
Okay, okay. I remember the because it wasn't Dio, it was Caesar. I was like,
I
okay.
liked Caesar as a character. He was a really good character.
I mean, I know what happens, but it's just like there's obviously like a spiritual like connection like that between him and Dio. Or at least that's what it was supposed to look like, but then it wasn't.
What, between Caesar and Dio?
Yeah, because like obviously like when you look from the outside, he just looks like Dio, and you're like, huh, what's going on here? But I guess there
Literally
was,
nothing.
yeah, literally nothing. It's just like nah. It's just like he's just cool.
I guess did you just assume because they looked similar?
Yeah, I mean, it's like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, 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 none of that. He's actually related to Zappelli from Part One.
Okay. I'm gonna pretend I know exactly what that is until I watch it, and I'll be like, oh, I got you.
Have you actually not watched Part One either?
Not in full. Like I think I watched like episode 1, and like I just had other things to do.
You gotta watch the rest of Judge.
I got to. It just, I mean, it's not like One Piece where like you sit down and you're like, oh shit, like you sit down and it looks like summer homework.
Whereas when you go to JoJo, it's like, okay, this is a
It's
little more doable.
yeah, it's more doable. It's like I guess for me, like it looks more like a summer read than it does look like just a summer assignment.
Not only that, so many memes.
There's so many memes, and I I'm down to have like a really good laugh on anything, so that's also something I'm looking forward to.
I mean, you know how many times the Pillarman theme has been posted.
Oh my god. And I would find out like what the origin is.
The Pillarman theme. I,
Yeah. And then people like everyone raises up the like base level at the end. It's so crazy. Yeah.
Dude, the Pillarman theme, low key, is fire. Though whoever produced that,
It's
good
so
on them.
good. Like Jesus, like I mean, you just need to like first like roundabout and also like just like that opening one.
I.
Like they know what they're doing. They got the style for it.
I mean, I told you that theme played when Sephi did her roles.
Jesus, Safi, 16 across the board, plus a couple over here, like bruh.
Especially because all the Pillarmen are exceptionally fucking buff.
Exceptionally.
Like, statues of men.
Well, yeah, they're Pillarmen.
Hence the name.
They rightfully like earned that title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Part 2 is normally one of everyone's favorites, if not the most favorite. Whereas then you're also going to have
Is that with Joseph or was that like Jotaro?
2 is with Joseph. 2 is with
Okay.
Joseph. 3 is with Jotaro.
Okay. And 4 is Diamonds Forever, and then is part 5 Golden Wind?
Yes.
Okay, cool. At least I got that just simply from like watching memes.
Well, I mean, I believe 4 is Diamond is Unbreakable.
Yeah, that's one with Josuke, right?
Yeah, with Josuke,
Okay.
who's essentially like the Lars of JoJo.
Okay. I'll
Lars
watch
is in
it
Lars Tekken.
and then I'll affirm like that.
Like if you know Lars from Tekken, you know the reference.
Okay. Because I kind of don't, but like I've seen Lars. Because
Because he's Heihachi's illegitimate child.
yikes. Oh, got you. I now
Yeah,
see
same
it.
thing with Josuke.
Man. I mean, and I can just like literally just reiterate like that family being a problem.
I mean, Lars so far come off as a good guy.
I mean, but circumstances just like in general from the head person is also a bit of a problem.
Oh, absolutely. Heihachi, he's got he's man's a menace.
He's an absolute menace.
So is his son.
Be willing to spike up like the two ends of his hair.
Not only is he a menace, he's made his son a menace, and his son has made his son's son a menace.
He's made his sons a menace. He's made his son's a menace, right? Because Kazuya's like the first, and then he had a child, and that's Jin.
You need to be stopped.
She's like, anyway, I think that's pretty much everything because I gotta start debating whether or not I want to like watch Suicide Squad like right now because that's gonna definitely take up quite a bit of time.
Ain't no mercy.
And then probably see if I can like start watching JoJo. And then play Ori. And then play Ori.
How far are you in Ori anyway?
So I cleared the second area, which deals with the strong winds. So I think
you're close.
the escape scene for that temple was like really cool. Like
was that the desert? Was that the desert one?
Not the desert one, no. It's the one in the ice cavern or ice caves.
Oh, that shit.
It's interesting because I think I saw a review about how some people didn't really quite get it. Like, I think when I saw like the water spouts, I was like, oh, I get it now. So it's just like I just tucked away the feather for like a quick second and then like put it back up just so I can control like my elevation. But yeah, no, I can't imagine going through like the one hit run because holy shit, I've died so many times, and it's just like it's about like the specific bits about that game. Like, there's so many hazards, so many. But
so much pain.
when I saw the video and they recommend like, oh, you complete it, I'm like, fuck no, dude. What? You want me to go through like the one hit run? Nah. I was tempted. I'm not gonna lie. I selected the game and I just saw that option. I was like, really now? But I was like, nah. That's.
Are you doing this on Switch or are you doing this on Game Pass?
It's on Game Pass. Well, no, actually, I bought it because it was on like a super sale thing. But I was like, okay. But otherwise, yeah, no.
The individual games or the collection?
The collection. No, not the collection. It was actually it was technically a bundle for the two for like $12 to $16. So I was like, I'll take it. I will
take this. Thank you.
I'll snatch that. I got that. It was the Lunar Holiday sale. That's what it was that I got it. And I was like, oh, nice. I'll take it. But I recently just picked it up as far as actually playing it. And I have it on hard mode, of course. But I wasn't crazy enough to go for one hit run. I was like, nah, forget this. I do like the difficulty, though. It's like, you have to be like super careful, and it definitely gives you like a check on your overconfidence. You'll just like even now like you'll breeze through the game, but then like you'll get hit with the one stray shot, and you just like get dusted, and you're like, oh, that's right, and that's when you realize you haven't saved in a while. And you're like, fuck, all right, and it reminds you to save a lot.
Oh, were you at the Windtorn Ruins?
I was, and then I passed it. So now I have to fly further up, and that's where I stopped. Because that was super cool. That's the part where like Kuro like you find yourself at the nest for Kuro and you find out the origins. That was super depressing. I get it. I 100% get it. I 100% get it. And then you just see Kuro like looking at you while you're next to the egg. You're like, oh, this is
Don't you feel bad for me?
And then you have to go through the whole hiding sequence, and you're like, shit.
Don't you dare feel bad for me.
That was super scary too, because I was always testing Kuro, like every single option I get. From the time you have to actually sneak like over like Kuro, like I decided to do like a good jump and just like fall a certain distance before I just get like immediately swatted off screen. I was like, whoa. And it was the exact same thing when you were sneaking out. Where you have just a timed sequence of like Kuro looking at you, noticing you, and like flapping up, and then I was always testing it. I was like, ooh, what happens if I do this? Oh, that's what happens. Okay, I'll hide.
I always noticed you do that. You're like, so what if I was like, just don't do that.
I gotta see what happens. But it's also fun to just kind of try it out because you know that you have like as many lives as possible. That's why like I didn't want to go for the one hit run, because like there's so many things I want to try, but if I make it too far, it wouldn't be worth it.
I mean, if you're all the way at the Windswept Ruins, I don't think you have much left.
Yeah, actually, that's why I started to figure out, was like, once I actually checked my progress, because I realized I've been getting a lot of spirit orb stuff. So like the blue like spheres on the bottom left hand side of the screen is just like stacked, and I realized like, oh, I have like, what was it, 12 out of 16? Jesus. I've just been like doing my usual
just
thing.
Fucking blazing through that game.
I was like, damn. Like, I mean, and then I have like 10 out of 15 of the health things. I was like, oh Jesus, dude, I'm just backtracking them stuff, things I just see. So, all right, I'm not even following a guide per se. I'm just like going through, just clearing up the map for things that I was like frustratingly not able to like get to. But all right, I'll take it.
I mean, considering that Ori has, it's like a 8 to 12 and a half hour game.
Yeah, and I know that like people can clear it for much like faster. There's like that achievement, I guess, like where maybe not an achievement, but just simply like some kind of like goal that you can like clear it under like 3 hours. I was like, wow, dude. I think I'm at like 5 hours or so. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, like I just have like one last quote unquote temple to go through, and I've already like went to the entrance of that one because I was curious. That's it.
Was it the lava one?
The lava one, yeah. Because like,
oh god,
I was immediately drawn to it because it was like a lot of just like bashing like mechanics being involved. So I was like, oh, I'll do it.
I remember that one.
Oh, it's gonna be interesting. I want to see that because, um, the previous one, with the whole magnetism bit was interesting. If not kind of annoying once I got lost, but reestablished myself. But that was super interesting. Would suck to go through that like as a one hit run, but yeah.
No, just wait till you get to Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Pain!
What's gonna be? Are you talking about an emotional pain, or are we talking about like difficulty pain?
Emotional.
Okay, I'm ready for that.
Pain!
I've watched a lot of well, I caught myself up onto this anime called To Your Eternity, and there's a lot of pain involved because you're walking through several characters that are like they're gonna die and you know it, and so it's like all the screen time that they get, you know, deep inside that like it's gonna not end well. And
try not to be attached.
The thing is that I got so attached to this character. His name is Gugu, right? As dumb as the name as that sounds, he's like the bro. He's so legit. And so he's already passed like so far in the story.
He's the Toto. He's the Toto of the story.
He really is, and like I get slightly emotional when I watch him like in the opening sequence, because you're like, it's like, oh fuck. Any case, yeah. All right, I will actually call it right now. It's just so I don't like carry on with that talk. But yeah, so much pain, but so much attachment. But yeah, all right, ending here. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode. It's been episode 372 of DangIT Prodcast. My name is Justin.
Bye.
And thanks for watching. #bye, everyone.
Eddie out.